Hi there, and welcome to this lesson on variation forms. We'll be talking about theme and variations movements. And we're listening now to the theme from Edward Elgar's Enigma Variations. Now let's go ahead and get started with our lesson. The description is very simple. We have a theme, and that theme is followed by a number of variations on the theme. Now, what is a theme? It could be something the composer wrote himself, or herself, in which case it would be called variations on an original theme. Or they could have borrowed their themes from other sources. It was common to take the opera tunes of the day and write variations on them. Those are like the pop songs of the 18th and 19th centuries. Folk songs or other popular songs, or maybe they could take a theme that was written by another composer and write variations on that. There's a famous set of variations that Brahms wrote on a theme by Haydn and also by Handel. So when you repeat the theme, the variations could alter any of these aspects. It could alter the harmony, the melody, the underlying structure. That's actually less common. More common, you would alter the accompaniment, the rhythms that are used, different types of keyboard figuration or texture, making it thicker or thinner, changing the articulations. If you're writing orchestral variations, you can also change the instrumentation. Obviously, you can change the key or the mode. The tempo is frequently altered. The meter can sometimes be changed. Often you'll have contrasting dynamics and use of different registers. So think of all of these things when you're developing variations on a theme. So here's some ways that you can vary your theme, some common types of variations. You can ornament the melody or embellish it with ornaments in an ornamenting variation. You can add a type of figuration to the theme in a figural variation. You can change the character of the theme with a character variation, so you could take your theme and make it into a waltz or a jig or a march. You can even apply some kind of contrapuntal technique to the theme in a contrapuntal variation, making it sound like a fugue or something like that. Let me give you a few brief illustrations of that. This is from Beethoven's theme, or variations on the theme "God Save the King." So here's the theme. Okay. Now, if I wanted to change that theme so that it sounds like a march, I could do this. So I've changed the meter to 4/4 there, kind of a staccato feel and a march-like dotted rhythm. So that would be a character variation. Here's another variation from the same set. Here we've added kind of a triplet figure to the accompaniment, so that might be a figural variation. And it's also changed the character to very somber. It's now in minor, the parallel minor. And it's kind of in a 9/8 feel, so there's a meter change as well. Okay, here's another one. is definitely a figural variation. We have this sort of a figure that we've added to the variation. Here's one more. That one has changed keys. It even modulates. It's a grandiose sort of character. So these terms are not necessarily used all the time, but this is just a way of describing the ways in which you can alter your theme, which there's no limit. As long as you can imagine something, you can alter your theme by many different ways. But in order for us to recognize the variations and to tell how they're related to the theme, something has to stay the same. If everything was changed, we may not recognize the variation at all. So here's some of the things that generally stay fixed. If the basic harmonic framework of the theme is kept, then we'll say it's harmonically fixed. So we have, if we add a lot of embellishments and ornaments, but it's the same chord progressions, then it's harmonically fixed. Now, you could also have a variation that is melodically fixed, where you don't change the melody at all, you just change the accompaniment around the melody. So that could be melodically fixed. Now, if the same phrase structure is there, so if my theme was a parallel period, and each variation on the theme was also a parallel period, with the same types of cadences, then we would say it's structurally fixed. And this is very common for the themes to be structurally fixed. The last point to make about theme and variations is sometimes the variations are grouped together into kind of sections within the theme and variations. So if successive variations have similar features, so say 3 of them are in 4/4 and then the next 3 are in 3/4, or 3 of them are in a quick tempo and then the next 3 are in a slower tempo, then those can be grouped together to create a large-scale organization or a large-scale formal pattern. So you could, for example, have some variations that really depart from the original theme to the point that you can hardly recognize it, and then some recognizable variations could come back and it would create a sense of a return or even a recapitulation where the main theme that is not very as much altered as before is returning. Just as with other, when we talked about ground bass variations, successive variations can gradually increase in density, in complexity, and dynamics. There can be a shaping to the variations moving from simple to complex, but that need not happen. Each variation can be completely unrelated to the previous one, and they can all be distinct in character. Okay, that's all I have for you. Go ahead and take the quiz.